Virgo, welcome to Yellow Cardinal Tarot with me. My name is Carole. This is going to be a general reading for you for December 2025. And what a powerful month this is going to be for all of us. It starts off December 4th with a full moon. And then if you've been following the Comet 3-Eye Atlas that's coming in December 19th, and that is going to be coming in with a full moon also at the same time. And then right after that is the December solstice on December 21st. So, excuse me, a lot of big energies for us that are here for us, you know. And so for me, I'm finding that it's really a period of stillness and deep inner work, and releasing a lot of, I've been releasing a lot of little things, some big as well, just to, I think, prepare myself for, you know, going into this, moving into this higher consciousness that's coming about. So, and maybe you've been feeling some of the same things. I know December can be a real busy month for a lot of us, but we're really being asked to try to find some periods of stillness in there for yourself, and so that you can be alone with yourself to feel what's coming up right now. And in particular, we're going to be looking at what are you being asked to release this month that's no longer serving you. It could be something small, it could be something big. You know, what is it that's no longer serving you? And then we're going to look at in part 2 what's coming up from your shadow that needs healing. Because when there's something that's, you know, kind of coming up for us and then, you know, let's take a look at this. It's always because there's something that's sitting in our unconscious that's coming up for healing, right? Our higher self always decides what is next on the list of things. It's like this checklist, right? We're never done. We're always healing. And then so there's going to be something that's you're being asked to release, and it's going to be sitting in your shadow, and it needs to be healed. And then finally, we're going to end with some guidance from the tarot as to in regards to this situation. So before we get started, right before I came on, I selected, well, I shuffled out 2 cards for you from 2 oracle decks. So the first one came from Return of the Spirit, and you got the immunity card. And then I took one from the Secrets of the Ancestors Oracle, and that was the Altar of the Earth, Limitless Prosperity. And so kind of looking at these 2 before I came on, and I'm looking at immunity. So I think of the, you know, how our body can be immune to certain things where we're protected from it, right? And so immunity is talking about, you know, the word protection came in for me when I saw that, when I was reading about this card. It's like you're wanting to create this protection, this energetic protection around yourself right now. And I think that you're feeling like you're very misunderstood right now. Maybe you're feeling like you're under attack. Maybe you're feeling really worthless, unworthy. So there's something coming up here where you're just like, I don't matter, and I'm not mattering to anybody. And you're wanting to protect yourself. And you know, sometimes it's not about anyone in particular that is making you feel this, but it's just this feeling of, maybe it's coming from whatever's going on in the world, coming from the collective, and you're just feeling this coming up, this sense of unworthiness, this sense of just wanting to, you know, hide under a rock and wanting to put your, you know, crawl into your bed and put the covers over your head. So there's that immunity where you're wanting protection around you because you're just feeling so unworthy. And so maybe you're in a particular situation where you're wanting to know how to, you know, cocoon yourself and then come out of this and figure it out, and then be able to come out and go forward with something positive, you know, that what sort of action can you take that's positive for everyone. And so there's this real sense of wanting to protect yourself. And then you got the Altar of Earth that came out, and this beautiful goddess that's here, and she has just so much abundance around her. I think she's a manifestation I read about Lakshmi, and I remember Lakshmi is very much abundance, and so there's like this. The words that came out for her was receive, receive, receive. So for me, it was almost like when you can really heal this unworthiness that's coming up for you right now. And you know, when we feel unworthy, it just doesn't come once. It can come and we work through it, and then it'll come again in a different situation, because we can spiral deeper into that feeling of unworthiness, right? I can't tell you how many times I've had to go into that and come out and go into it and heal it and heal it and heal. It's like a spiral, and you continue. And so there's like this promise of, you know, you're going to receive. There's going to be some abundance for you. And it's very fertile, very grounded. And so oftentimes when we can work through this unworthiness and feeling so misunderstood, which is always coming from childhood, by the way, but as an adult, when we work through it, and then we can come out just so much more grounded, right? When we're just that much closer to feeling like we matter and feeling worthy. It's almost like it's a dosage of a worthy pill that we've just taken, but when we've worked on that. So let's take a look at what's going on with you right now. And to do that, I'm going to use the Ehrenberg Tarot, and I'm going to clarify it with the Radiant Rider Waite. So let's ask what Virgo is being asked to release that's no longer serving them. So what's going on right now? What are you being asked to release? You know, and we did talk about the unworthiness, the shame. I wouldn't be surprised if one of my fives came up right now. So I'm going to see what comes up for you right now. So what's Virgo being asked to release? One card, please. Got it. Oh, we got an 8 of Swords. 8 of Swords. Okay. What's coming up from your shadow that needs healing around this? And this will be related to what you're feeling right now. What's coming up from your shadow that needs healing? 10 of Swords. Second sword on the table, and the swords is about your mind energy, your thoughts, your belief systems. What guidance does the tarot have for you in relation to this situation right now? One card that came out fast. Queen of Wands in reverse. And so let's clarify. Can I have a couple cards for the 8 of Swords right now? Okay, so you have 2 more swords. Wow, and here's a 5. 5 of Swords and the 4 of Swords. Like I said, I wouldn't have been surprised that it's coming up, and it did. The 4 of Swords came up, and that is my card of shame, right? That card of feeling unworthy, and it's right here. So the 10 of Swords. Can I have a couple cards for that? There's one. And one more. Wow. Okay. All right. So you have the Temperance card in reverse, the 6 of Wands, and the King of Swords in reverse. And those are all clarifying your 10 of Swords. And the Queen of Wands. A couple cards for that. Well, that one slipped out. And then one more. There we go. Oh, the Fool card's come out twice now. Okay, the Strength in reverse and the Fool card for you. Two powerful cards for you. Yeah. Did the Fool card come out first? I think so. All right, so this is what you're feeling right now in regards to this needing to protect yourself. Feeling very unworthy, feeling misunderstood, maybe you're arguing, lots of arguments, feeling under attack. But I can see here that you're struggling with this Eight of Swords. Her, this really focuses on her hands, right? And how she just feels like she's all tied up. She's feeling trapped. But the interesting thing about this card is that, it's just a piece of wool her hands are tied with. So, she could easily just go like this, right? But when you're up in your head, when your ego has you stuck up in your head, and you can continue to spin in your head about how unworthy you are. And oftentimes we'll spin on things that were said to us when we were younger, right? Like, you don't matter. Who do you think you are? What are you doing? All these things that would have been said to us as a child or an adolescent. And you're continuing to spin that in your head, and you're hearing that about yourself, and you're continuing to, it's just like this self-bashing that's going on, right? But you're really feeling like you're seeing no way out of this. And that's, I find, where we can really get into that hopelessness, and that's where we can really fall into these bouts of depression, where you just feel like you see no way out of your situation because you feel like a piece of shit and you feel so unworthy. And the next card that comes out is, I call it my bullying card, right? Maybe you were bullied when you were younger. And I did say about how you're feeling like you're under attack. And you're feeling there's these arguments and you're having to prove yourself. And so if we've been bullied when we were younger, if it was from our in our own family or kids in the playground, and maybe right now you are being bullied at work. You're being bullied with a partner. You're being bullied by your own children. You're being bullied by friends. But you're feeling like you're under attack right now. And I like to look at this person way at the back here. He's the one that's lost all these swords, and he's got his hand in his face, and he's just full of shame and unworthiness. And so that's what you're sitting here right now. You feel like you are trapped in your head, full of the shame, full of you don't matter. And it's real. I know, I've been there 1,000 times where you just think, I don't fucking matter to anybody. Nobody cares. Nobody's listening to me. And you're just having this real need to, like I said, to protect yourself, maybe to crawl under this rock because you're feeling so stuck. And then this card comes out where this Four of Swords is this individual that is taking time out for themselves and realizing they need rest, right? From their mind. And it's in reverse because there's like, maybe you're just so anxious and there's just so much anxiety, so much hopelessness. And there's not one part of you that thinks, I don't have any time to myself. I need time to me. I need me time. And especially around this time of the year where we can just crave that, just Calgon, take me away. Maybe I'm dating myself with that commercial, but it's like, give me a rock to crawl under, because you're just feeling like you can't have any time to you. There's no me time. Maybe you're, giving so much of yourself. Nobody understands. Nobody cares. You're just feeling like you don't matter. You're feeling very unworthy. And that's why I think you're needing to create this protection around yourself, And so let's let's look at this right now, because you're in a situation right now where you're being asked to heal, to learn a lesson maybe. I don't mean, I shouldn't want to say to learn a lesson, but you're being asked to heal something that's coming up from your shadow. Because this situation, believe it or not, the situation you're sitting in right now is actually kind of it's a flashback. It's coming up for you again to see. It's triggering you, and that's why you're feeling like you're completely trapped in it, because it's going to reflect something from your childhood that needs healing, where you were in the exact same situation. Because that's how this world works. When you start to figure out, oh, this situation, this has something to do when I was younger. Yeah, it's happening right now, but I'm an adult now and I can get out of this. But there's something where you were trapped, where you felt like you didn't matter when you were younger and you could not get out. You're a child. And so the first thing I see here is this Ten of Swords. And this is somebody that's been through a heck of a lot. Look at all these swords. Now, I've told you that the sword is your mental energy, your mental thought. And this is your childhood. It's your shadow, right? So these swords are all these things that people said to you when you were younger. And you believed them because you own them. You tuck them away and they've become you. You know, who do you think you are? What are you doing? What are you, stupid? You know, I just thought of Trump saying that lately to one of his reporters. What are you, stupid? You know, who else was called stupid when they were younger? He was. And so he's going to start to tell other people that. Sorry, I don't usually get political, but I just think of things like that where you hear like somebody else calling each other stupid or whatever. So, and maybe you're hearing these things that people are saying to you now, kind of the same things that are coming up for you, that you're hearing them again. Because when you were younger, you heard all these things and you collected, it's like you inherited them. And that's where your shame comes in, because you heard it all when you were younger. And 10 is like the end of your rope. It's like it did you in. That's where this unworthiness comes from. All these things that people told you when you were younger that weren't true. But you're a kid. You're a sponge, right? You would have taken it all in. And then the Temperance card comes in here in reverse, and it's a major arcana card. And the Temperance talks about, in an upright position, there's a lot of emotions in this card, because here's the water. Whenever I see water in any of the cards, it's like, okay, there's emotions present here. And this particular angel is just dipping their toe slowly, right? Just dipping it just a little bit into this water. And see how these emotions are meant to flow? You can just almost see them just like this. Just stands there, just dips the toe. And so it's like these emotions are flowing. And Temperance talks about middle ground. And so when you were younger, the whole thing of, your emotions belonging to you and being able to use your emotions and having them flow in, and then you feel them and then they flow out. Well, you weren't given that ability. You weren't given that ability to do that, right? That was taken away from you. And so, here's where this unworthiness came from. Like, you don't matter. Who do you think you are? And so your ability to even be able to express yourself and how you felt wasn't allowed. And you had so much grief around what was happening to you, because you felt so misunderstood when you were younger. Because the Six of Wands is my grief card in my deck. It talks about this individual that looks like he's coming back from a battle, and he's won it. There's so much victory in this card. But there's also, I like to look at my sixes as a duality card, because there's something under this blanket if you were to pull it off the horse. And it reveals what was lost. You know, there was so much lost for you when you were younger as far as being able to express your emotions. If we're not allowed to feel like we're supposed to feel when we're younger, be able to use our anger, be able to, you know, tell people that these are my boundaries and stay away from me, and express when you're scared, express your sadness. We have to bury it. There's a lot of sadness around that. We bury it, right? And right behind that is the King of Swords. That explains what's happened to me. So when you are younger and you have all these big emotions like grief and unworthiness that you feel because you just were not noticed, you were not supported when you were younger. Well, our ego self, which is the King card, it's the masculine side of us. It's where we live in our head, right? When we're younger and we can't feel these big emotions, our ego self will take us out of our body, because that's where all our emotions are when we're younger. They're in our body. And when we're really young, we are very grounded. You know, we weren't born into this world ungrounded. We were born very grounded in our body. Knew who we were, had access to all our emotions. Nobody had shut down our emotions yet. And then people come in and start telling us how to feel and when not to feel, or what to feel. And if things happen to us, trauma comes in, things happen to us, and where we have these big emotions like shame and grief and anger, and we're not allowed to feel those. Well, they are too much to feel when we're younger. So what our ego self does, because it's a real protector part, interesting that you are needing to protect yourself, but our ego self will be that protector part that will say, okay, you can't stay in your body. It's just impossible for you to stay in your body when you're young and feel those big emotions. It would eat us, it would kill us, I think. And so it pulls us up in our head because there's no emotions up there. And so you learned when you were younger that when these big emotions came up for you, like they are right now, these feelings of unworthiness and these feelings of grief and shame, right? You learned when you were younger to go right up in your head. You started off your first reading in this, your first card in this reading, you started off feeling very much up in your head. Swords is all about being up in your head, feeling trapped, because that's where you went. Because you are up in your head right now, because you don't want to go and face that unworthiness and that shame that's sitting right here, right behind you, feeling trapped. But the thing is here, Virgo, you are an adult and you can feel this. You can feel that, and you can sit, take that time out, because there's a need here for you to take some time out. Stillness. Beautiful feminine quality. Take that time out and start to feel some of this shame. That's what's going to get you untrapped. And so what guidance does the tarot have for you in relationship to this situation besides what I just said? Well, you have the Queen of Pentacles coming here, and she's in reverse. So there's a real ungrounded part of you right now. And I said that when we are up in our head like that, we're very much ungrounded. And so the universe says, well, the tarot says, well, I think it's very important that you focus on getting yourself grounded. The Queen of Pentacles is our feminine side, and she's very grounded. She's not the Queen of Pentacles, she's the Queen of Wands. Oh, okay. Queen is very grounded, of course, but the wand goes towards our purpose, our creativity. And so it sounds like here there's a new direction for you, and it's interesting because this card at the beginning, and it was like, what is it saying? This one right here for you. This talked about a promise of something coming in for you. It was like receive, receive, receive. And so I'm seeing that there's a real call for you to get grounded. But there's also something that's coming in for you. there's like a promise of a new direction. And this card, it talked about abundance and, I mean, maybe something financial coming in for you. But yeah, fascinating now that I can relate it back to the Queen. And it's funny that I said pentacles and not wands. But yeah, that explains the altar of the earth and this abundance that's also coming in for you. But you need to get very grounded and get back into your body. And then you get the Fool card, which is fabulous for you. It doesn't come often in my readings. Fool card talks about you needing to take this next step, and maybe you know what it is. There's something here. And I'm almost thinking that there's something that you want to do, but this feeling of, I can't do it. I'm not worthy enough. I don't matter. There's something that you want to do for yourself. There's a new direction that you're meant to go into. And you know what? Around this period of time, I remember I was listening to a video the other day. It's like, think back of what you did in June. And this is Pam Gregory. Maybe some of you follow her, the astrologer. But she said, think back of what you did in June. If you can remember what you were doing in June, that is your direction and that's where you're going. So I have a funny feeling Virgo, where you're going and what you're meant to do. But you have this block right now. You're feeling very, very trapped in those feelings of, I can't do this. I just am not allowed to, or I don't matter. There's no way I can do this. But I think once you get yourself grounded and you're going to be taken into this new direction and you're being asked to trust. The Fool card's all about trust, and just trust that this is going somewhere. But you've got to feel, and you've got to feel. And there's a lot of grief. Like I said, there's an inner child here that's, no, sorry, it's not the inner child, but it's this grief here. Well, the inner child, you have an inner child definitely that's going to hold a lot of grief for you. But you need to trust that this is going to go somewhere. If you sit with these feelings of feeling unworthy and feeling trapped. And then the Strength card comes here. It's in reverse. Because the Strength card talks about having the strength to go inwards, right? And I know right now that you don't have this strength. You're not feeling the strength. Strength card is that having the strength of pulling that Pandora's box open and feeling like, I'm ready to face these feelings of when I felt unworthy. Right now it's in reverse, but I think there's a real... it's almost like a support card for you, right? Of saying you have the strength here. You can do this. You can look at these feelings of unworthiness, right? It's time for you to look at them. And so I'm going to leave you with the reading that I just did for you, Virgo. And I want you to have compassion for yourself for what you're working through right now. This is a very difficult journey, the healing journey, but it's the most important journey of your life. So take care, and I'll talk soon. Bye.